sacs sont conçus à partir de néoprène non toxique, à séchage rapide, durable, résistant, offrant soutien et protection optimale à l'échauffement. Les vitres V22 pour le cross sont fabriquées à partir de cuir synthétique ventilé. Elles sont légères, parfaitement ajustables et offrent une protection optimisée pour les exigences du cross. Avec V22, j'offre à mes chevaux la meilleure protection et cela me donne encore plus de confiance pour ma performance.
The future is good.
The FEI Dressage World Cup returns for a new season. As the world's best athletes and horses take center stage to deliver performances full of grace,
Hello and a very warm welcome to the FEI World Cup Dressage here in Lyon, France. The FEI World Cup is the most prestigious individual competition on the international dressage calendar, a truly global series that started in 1985 and that covers 4 leagues from across the world, including the Pacific, the North American, the Central European and the Western European League. But we welcome you to this, the second leg here in Lyon, France. Fabulous arena here in Equator Lyon. We will bring you the season standings so far. Out in the lead, you can see there is Patrik Kittel. He is on 40 points. He'll be coming forward today. In second place is Barbançon with 30 points. Diana Porsche also coming forward today. She's in 5th place. Alexandre Ayache in 7th and Nanna Skodborg Merrald in 10th. They're all going to be looking at picking up some more points today. And this is the start list, the first 9 that will be coming forward of 16. As I said, Nanna Skodborg Merrald coming forward. This time with Blue Horse Saint-Chifreau for Denmark. She's coming in 3rd. Then we have Diana Porsche for Austria, the sole representative, coming in 6th. Pauline Basquin in 7th with her European ride, Serratorius de Rama. And then further down, Patrik Kittel there, head of the current standings. He's coming 15th with Forever Young, HRH for Sweden. And last into the arena is Thamar Zweistra. It is a cool 20 degrees, and you can see there our judges are in their positions. 5 judges will be watching with interest for this Grand Prix and of course tomorrow's freestyle. At E we have Raphael Saleh, at H Jack Van Dal, at C Mariette Sanders van Ganswinkel, at M Henning Lerman and at B Christoph Umbach. The best 9 athlete and horse combinations from this Western European League will qualify for the final, which is being held in Saudi Arabia in April next year. The riders have 11 chances of qualifying in 9 countries over 6 months. As I said, we have a fabulous lineup of 16 horse and rider combinations coming forward today for the Grand Prix, including horses and riders from the recent European Championships, last year's World Championships and some from the Tokyo Olympics. Some huge names in the dressage world. I'm Natasha Baker and I'm very excited to be watching along with you. Last weekend we had leg 1 in Wilhelmsborg, Denmark. It was a victory for Sweden's Patrik Kittel and touchdown with 84.065. Patrik is sitting pretty at the top of the current standings with 40 points at this early stage. Nanna Skodborg Merrald rode her final freestyle with the prolific Blue Horse Zach in 2nd place. She comes forward with Blue Horse Saint-Chifreau today. And then in 3rd was Andreas Helgestrand and his young mare Queen's Park Wendy. But first into the arena today, it is Sophie Serre and Gibraltar de Massa. A 9-year-old stallion by Saint-Amour. A great partnership that have enjoyed a lot of success. We have lots of French partnerships coming forward today. And this is the first of many So coming down the centre line now is Sophie Serre and Gibraltar Di Massa. Her husband also coming forward later on in this class. They both competed at the 2011 European Championships in Rotterdam. Slightly unsettled in that first halt. Nice in the frame in the extended trot. Could have asked for maybe a bit more in the lengthened strides. Could have taken a bit more risk, but lovely in the frame. Nice and supple through the trot half passes. Great reach there. Nice there in the half pass to the left. Just had a little bit more flow. Slightly early into the halt, and again, late to establish the halt. Really want to see those 3 seconds of immobility. The first extended trot just slightly more over the back than the second one there. Just got a little bit tense. Slightly higher behind in the piaffe steps, so she could just sit a bit more in the piaffe. But good relaxation coming into the walk now, taking a lovely stretch down, showing a clear over track. Could be a bit more relaxed there in the collected walk, and especially in that transition up into the passage. And again, they're the same as in the first passage, could be just a little bit more over the back. I think the judges would want to see the piaffe and the passage just sitting a little bit more. Nicely on her aids in the transition up into the canter. And now into the 2-time changes. Nice and straight. Nicely on and aids. Just needs to watch the straightness down that short side. And again, the same there as in the first extended trot. Just could have taken a little bit more risk. Nicely ridden through the half passes on the centre line. could just maybe have been a bit more uphill. Losing some of the jump in the canter through the half passes. Again, nicely on the aids through the one-time changes. Losing a little bit of straightness towards the end of that line. And again, could, for the higher marks, have been slightly more uphill. Canter just getting a little hurried through the canter pirouette. Needs to be a bit more sitting, a bit more over the back for the big marks. Still picking up some 6.5s and some 7s. Again, the same in the canter pirouette to the right. Some tension as she came back into the trot. You can just see there in those transitions, the hind leg becomes quite exaggerated. And as she came onto the centre line, there's some swinging behind. Just would like to see that passage a bit more balanced, a bit more equal. Nicely on the spot there in the piaffe. Again, for the big marks, you'd like to see the horse more over the back, but good in the rhythm. Smooth transitions. And just leaving that hind leg out there in the final halt. But a good job from Sophie Serre and Gibraltar de Massa. Just 9 years old, this horse. So a real bright future ahead of them. Our first representatives from France. Very consistent through the test, picking up lots of 7s, a few 7.5s. They usually sit around 68, 69 for the Grand Prix. So it'd be interesting to see what they pick up today. But nice in the frame throughout. Just at times got a little bit tense through some of the transitions. Could have been slightly more over the back. But as I say, 9 years old. Very, very new to this level. Showing great potential for the future. So the scores are in. It's 69.783, 70.217 from E, 68.913 from H, 70 from C, 69.674 from M, and 70.109 from B. A combination best score. So up now we have a representative from Korea. It is young Shik Hwang. He rides Delmont 7, a 12-year-old Oldenburg gelding. Former gold medalist from the Asian Games in 2010 and 2014. He's been based with Hofkasselmann in his bid to compete at next year's Paris Olympic Games. So in now for Korea, it is young Shik Hwang and Delmont 7. Fairly nice steps in the extended trot. Tracking up there towards the end, could have had a bit more pushing power towards the beginning. Lots of impulsion in this trot work. Be nice to see a bit more self-carriage through these half passes. Losing some of the parallel positioning. And just ridden into a lovely square halt there, but quite an abrupt transition. I want to see the horse as they come round the corner really balancing into that halt, using the half halts in preparation. More risk taken there in this second extended trot. Some nice energy in the passage. Just lost a bit of the balance onto the forehand in the transition up into the piaffe. Better steps towards the end of the piaffe there. Just went into the piaffe a little on the shoulder, and then it took a few steps to rebalance so that the hind leg was really sitting. Some nice steps through the extended walk. A bit of a head tilt at the beginning. Just at times through the test, contact isn't always as steady as maybe the judges would like. The horse nicely on the aids through the transition up into the passage. Some good steps in the piaffe. Maybe just have had a little more lift. Nice jump here in the canter. Really nice in the ground cover in these two-time changes. Some good steps in the extended canter. Again, just for me, rode quite forward on that short side and could have just done with a little bit more of a half halt before he went into that extended canter. And again here for the canter half passes, losing some of that parallel positioning, and they're just coming into a few issues with the rhythm in the canter, losing a bit of the straightness in some of the changes, and it's just ridden a little bit too forward. Needs to half halt and balance through that canter zigzag. Again, nicely on the aids through the one-time changes. For the bigger marks, it could have been slightly more uphill. And again there in the canter pirouette, would have liked to have seen a bit more sitting and a bit more self-carriage. But nice preparation coming into the pirouettes, losing a bit of the jump that he rides so nicely through this canter work. Yeah, and better balance there as he comes down the centre line. Some nice steps through the passage. Better here in the passage, just a bit more over the back. And into a nice halt to finish with for young Shik, Hwang and Delmont 7 for Korea. Very, very close between Sophie Serre and Young with the scores. Some really nice work through their test. As I said, he's looking to take place on the team for the Olympic Games next year. Probably actually will be riding it as an individual, but a former gold medalist. And he showed his experience today. Scores ranging from 67.174 up to 71.087, giving a total of 69.522% and into second for young Shik, Hwang and Delmont 7. Next into the arena, it is Nanna, Skodborg, Merrald and Blue Horse Saint Chufro. This is a 12-year-old stallion by St. Louis Jr. out of a Blue Horse Don Chufro mare. Nanna is hot here off the back of her second place in Wilhelmsburg just a couple of weeks ago, where she rode Blue Horse Zach in his final competition before retirement. They scored 82.82%. She also picked up her first individual medal at this year's Europeans with Blue Horse Zepter, winning a silver medal. Last time out with this horse, though, was back in April, where they competed in Hagen for a second place in the Grand Prix with 75.848% and a fourth in the special with 75.277. Last year, they competed in Wilhelmsburg and Mechlin World Cup qualifiers, coming second on the home turf and fifth in Mechlin, with over 80% in the freestyle. She's a regular on the Danish team, competed in Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games and last year's World Championships, where they helped Denmark win a team gold. So in the arena now for Denmark, it is Nanna, Skodborg, Merrald and Blue Horse Saint Chufro. A nice halt to start with. Not quite square, just a bit of tension before they come into the halt. So already sitting with 6 and 7s. But some good steps in the extended trot. A really lovely frame here from Blue Horse Saint Chufro. Enormous reach through these trot half passes. Lovely crossing. Beautifully uphill. And a lovely square halt at sea. Really nice in the frame doesn't change. Just losing a bit of the rhythm coming into the piaffe. Some tension there. Just was a little hurried. Some good walk steps, showing a clear over track. Really nice and relaxed. Taking a good stretch. Really nice ground cover through the walk. Again, just needs to watch the rhythm there in the passage. And again, swaying there a little bit in the piaffe. Just some tension creeping in the piaffe today, which is a real shame. Beautifully up into the canter work. Really nice and uphill. And again, enormous ground cover in these flying changes. Slight swaying though. Could be definitely more straight in that diagonal line. Super steps in the extended canter. Just slightly losing that uphill tendency. So he needs to keep the balance through these canter zigzags. Really nice positioning there. Just lost a little bit of straightness towards the end, but on the whole, very nice. Again, losing a little of the straightness in the line of one-time changes. Really beautifully on the aids. Nicely uphill through the canter pirouette. Really well centered through the canter pirouette to the left. Slightly quick, just almost sat a little bit too much there and was slightly spinning in the second pirouette. So coming down the final centre line now. Great energy here in the passage. You know, the last time they were out together at International Grand Prix was April, so it's been a little while, and I think this test would have given them real confidence as they go into the freestyle tomorrow. Again, slightly travelling there in that final piaffe for X, but Nanna's done a great job of just giving this horse confidence in the arena. A really beautifully well-ridden test from Nanna and Blue Horse Saint Jouffroy. A lovely 12-year-old stallion with a bright future. Just at times a little hurried maybe. Didn't quite get the piaffe as well balanced and as well sitting on the spot as she may have liked, but still picking up some really super scores. This horse has a lot of expression, a lot of ground cover. Maintained a really lovely frame throughout. Our silver medalist from the recent European Championships with her other ride, Blue Horse Zepter, picking up her first individual medal. Has such a fabulous string of horses. So we just wait for the scores to be confirmed before we bring those to you. As we watch the highlights, as I said, a really lovely frame throughout the test. Great ground cover in the walk. And here's the score, 74.044 and into the lead. Scores ranging from 72.174 up to 75.761. So that is now the score to beat, 74.044%. Now we move on to our individual from Estonia. She is our sole representative. It is Grete Ayache. She rides Vertigo. This combination have already enjoyed World Cup success recently after only starting International Grand Prix in May. They competed in the Central European Leagues Budapest and Wrocław with scores up to 68.304 in the Grand Prix and 71.01% in the freestyle. Grete competed her other horse at Faro de Rea at this year's Europeans, finishing 54th with 67.158 and at last year's World Championships. So into the arena now, it is Grete Ayache and Vertigo for Estonia. Horse just creeping behind the vertical slightly there in the second half of the centre line. And here in the extended trot, you want to see that pole at the highest point. Again here through the half pass, some really nice steps, some good reach. Could just have a steadier contact, a bit more bend through the body there, especially in the half pass to the left. And some good steps in the rein back, but again, just dropping the pole. Nice there in the frame. Just could have done with some more ground cover. Just looked to me a little bit hurried. Needs to really think about that balance. Nicely on the spot there in the Piaf. Could have a bit more lift for the higher marks. Good relaxation in the walk. Some nice steps. Again, there in the contact, you really want to see them stretching down and out, and the horse is stretching the contact down, but just slightly coming back. You want to see that nose on the vertical line. And again, nicely on the spot here in the Piaf. Slightly hurried, the same as the first one. Could just sit a little bit more, but shows real promise there. Swinging the quarters in that transition up into the canter. Just have been a bit more on her aids. Lots of nice ground cover in those 2-time changes. Just losing a little bit of the flow through those. And again, really nice there in the ground cover. And she's really able to lengthen the stride as well as the frame there in the extended canter, which is exactly what the judges will want to see. Fairly nice balance through the half passes down the centre line. Again, slightly short in the neck, and the last change not quite fluent, which has then just resulted in a bit of tension here in these 1-time changes. Again, the horse just coming back at her slightly. Good preparation there coming into this canter pirouette. Yeah, nice bend through the pirouette. Horse really able to sit through those canter pirouettes. Nicely done. Slightly lost the fluency there coming out. Just could have done with a little bit more jump. And again there in the extended trot. Like I said, in the extended canter, you really want to see that stride lengthen as well as the frame. And unfortunately, this horse's tendency is just to come a little bit back at his rider in the frame. It's really hard as a rider when you feel like you haven't got anything in the rein. Much better in the frame there in the piaffe. Some nice steps. For the bigger marks, the judges would just like to see a little bit more air time. A super halt to finish with for Grete Ayache and Vertigo from Estonia. Big pats for Vertigo. Some nice work through the test. Just really needed to watch that frame just at times, as I said there towards the end. The horse just coming slightly behind the vertical. Had some nice steps in the piaffe, really nicely on the spot. Good in those 2-time changes as well. Unfortunately, just had a bit of tension towards the end of the canter zigzag. But picking up lots of 6.5s and 7s. And that's resulted in a 67.391% score into 4th place, with marks ranging from 65.435 up to 68.587. So that puts them into 4th place, just sitting a little bit behind their combination best score. And we will see Grete's husband coming in later. Can see now coming into the arena, it is Sophie Serre's husband, Arnaud Serre, and he is riding James Bond Damassa, a 9-year-old stallion by Brevorby. Another combination from this year's European Championships. They finished 28th in the Grand Prix and in the Special with 71.44 and 69.605 respectively. They've had fantastic results in June in Jardy CDI 3-star, finishing second with 70.761, and they won the freestyle with 78.21%. They only started at Grand Prix in May this year. The Europeans was only their 5th international Grand Prix together, and this is their 6th and their first World Cup qualifier. Arnaud is a seasoned competitor for the French team, having taken part in the 2014 World Championships and 5 European Championships. He is yet to compete at an Olympics though, so will be vying for a place on the team next year. Bit of tension there as they just came into the arena, but regained composure very well to come into a fairly good halt. As I said, just 9 years old, this horse, so very, very new in their Grand Prix career together. I think the World Cup just brings a new atmosphere to this horse. Most of the summer competitions would have been outside in big stadiums and big arenas, whereas coming in to compete in this World Cup series in an indoor arena is definitely a different feel, a different atmosphere for these young horses. And I think it takes a bit of confidence to get used to them. They need plenty of exposure. Pretty nice through the half passes, nice crossing and nice ground cover. Just needed a bit more bend through those 2 lines. Not quite diagonal pairs in the rein back, but keeping nicely through the frame. Tracking up well through the extended trot. Just slightly running, especially at the beginning. Could have been a bit more over the back. Really nice steps there in the piaffe. Great lift. Really, really nicely performed. Pretty nice transitions as well. And again, they're only going to get better as this horse gets stronger. Remember, just 9 years old. Super here in the walk. Lovely ground cover. Just needs to keep the horse's attention. As I said, this atmosphere very different to anything that they would have seen so far in their Grand Prix career. Good there again towards the end. Nice through the collected walk. Again, a real highlight for this partnership is their piaffe. Picking up some 8s and even a 9 for the first piaffe. Just needs to make sure that they keep the rhythm there towards the end. Again, some tension there coming up into the canter. Very well ridden. Managed to keep it together there. Some big ground covering, 2-time tempi changes. Really nice flow through those. Kept them nice and forward. Just lost a bit of the steadiness in the contact. Lovely there in the extended canter. Opening up that frame and that stride length. Again, the same as in the trot half passes. Could just have a little bit more bend. You can really see that Arnaud is doing a great job of keeping this horse as relaxed as he can, losing a bit of suppleness, as I said, through those canter half passes. But he's really having to manage this horse and give him confidence through this test, which he's doing such a great job of. This horse just 9 years old, as I said. And you can just see at times this horse just asking his dad for a little bit of a holding hand. Again, very centered. I would have ridden that maybe a little bit bigger in the canter pirouette. Again, could be much more supple to the bend through those. I think it's one of those really tough decisions that you have to make in the moment. Do you ride them a little bit bigger or ride them very, very small, which he did, but lose some of that jump, lose some of that bend and the quality? I think I would have gone for a little bit bigger and kept the bend and kept him a little bit more in front. Quite late into the trot transition. So this is where they pick up the marks in this Piaffe Passage. There's a bit of the jump in the transition in, but again, nicely on the spot in the Piaffe. Could have had a little bit more balance, especially towards the end. Really super. Oh, and again, just there, losing a bit of the regularity, but a super job. Very, very well ridden by Arnaud Serre and the lovely James Bond de Massa. Thought he did such a beautiful job of really giving this horse confidence in this big atmosphere in this arena. As I said, it'll be the first time where they've been exposed to this kind of atmosphere, and the horse just at times getting a little bit distracted by what was going on around him. And I think they'll come back tomorrow even stronger from having that exposure to this arena today. Some really, really super work in the test. You can see how much potential this horse has, especially in the Piaffe Passage work. Has great ground cover through the tempi changes. And as I said, I think if they can iron out some of those issues that they had with a bit of tension today, I think they're going to be coming back really strong tomorrow. It's a score of 68.956%. Scores ranging from 68.804 up to 70.217. A fantastic job from Arnaud Serre. There you can see those fabulous flying changes. Now into the arena, it is Diana Porsche, and she rides Douglas, a 15-year-old gelding by Johnson. A rider that's come up through youth classes. Diana is a bronze medalist from the 2016 Europeans in Hagen, where she rode Desandro OLD for 76% in the Grand Prix Freestyle for under 25s. She has a lot of experience, having competed at championships since 2013 with a few top 10 finishes. She finished under 25s at the end of 2021 and has a string of horses at this level now. She's competed successfully this year with podium finishes in Saint-Marin, where this pair scored 68.413 in the Grand Prix to finish second and 71.447 for the win. It is Diana Porsche and Douglas for Austria. Very big, powerful horse. Nice ground cover in the extended trot. Could maybe just have had a bit more pushing power from the hind leg. Just at times through this half pass, they have a small loss of rhythm at times. And that's just because the horse isn't really pushing into a steady contact. You just want to see him a little bit more over the back and into the bridle, but a really nice halt there. You can just see him holding himself. Nice and active through the passage. So come into the piaffe, losing a little bit of that activity coming into the piaffe, but regained that nicely. Was slightly crooked to the left in the piaffe, but really nice and relaxed here into the walk, showing some good over track. Nicely forward, and again you can just see the horse taking a little look around him. Diana doing a great job of keeping the concentration. Really great activity through the walk. The judges would maybe like to see a bit more over track in the extended walk. Picking up some 6s and 7s. And some problems there, again crooked. You can see the quarters coming really round to the left. Yeah, unfortunately 5s and 5.5s for the piaffe. Nicely on the aids in these 2-time changes. Some good ground cover. Could just have a slightly more forward tendency. You want to see the diagonal really flow. Lovely there in the frame in the extended canter. Yeah, she came onto the centre line there. Could really see that Diana was working hard to get that half halt. There's so much in that line of canter half passes. And although it's got a double coefficient, there's a lot to ride. And this horse is a very, very tall, leggy horse. Diana doing a great job of just keeping everything as together as she can. Those changes a little bit short. You'd want to see a bit more ground cover, but they were correct. Well centered through the canter pirouette. This horse has such a great ability to really sit in these canter pirouettes. Yeah, again, very, very well sat. Some nice steps in the extended trot. So nice activity here in the passage. She's really going for it in this final centre line. Yeah, and carried forward more activity into this final piaffe. So coming down into the final halt, really nice in the frame down that last centre line. It is Diana Porsche and Douglas from Austria, picking up some 7.5s for the final passage and for those transitions in and out of that final piaffe. She really, really rode that final centre line. The first two piaffes, you could see the horse swinging its quarters to the left. And I think she was so, set on getting a really, really good final piaffe to give them that confidence going into the arena tomorrow for the freestyle. And she did a great job. Rode it maybe a little bit too forward, but actually it's the risk that you have to take. And she knew that the potential would have been that the horse could have swung the quarters to the left like he did in the first two. And the scores coming in, it's 68.696, scores ranging from 64.457 up to 71.522. Really super canter pirouettes. That was definitely a standout for this combination. Really has a great ability to sit in those canter pirouettes. But now we move on to another combination for France. It is Pauline Basquin and Sartorius Derima ZIFCE. This horse is 13 years old, a gelding by Sandro Hitt. Another combination that competed at this year's European Championships with great success. They finished with 72.189 in the Grand Prix for 23rd place. They jumped up to 18th in the special with 73.328 and then up to 13th with a personal best in the freestyle of 79.561. A very consistent partnership. They've been sitting around 71-72% all year in the Grand Prix and finished on the podium in Rotterdam CDIO 4-Star Nations Cup in second and third in Crozet with 72.958 in the special. They also competed at last year's World Championships in Herning. They only made the move to Grand Prix at the beginning of that year and they finished 38th in the Grand Prix with 69.938%. It is Pauline Basquin and Sartorius Derima ZIFCE. As I said, a very, very consistent partnership. Really lovely in the frame, in the extended trot, covering the ground beautifully. Such a harmonious partnership from these two. Yeah, nice here in the half pass to the left. Could have just had a bit more bend through the body in the half pass to the right. Nice in the halt. And good steps there in the rein back. Yeah, well ridden in the extended trot. Picking up 7s and 7.5s, and to get up to those 8.5s, the judges would just like to see a bit more engagement. Lovely sitting here in the piaffe. Really nicely on the spot. Could just carry a little bit more. Was slightly higher behind than in the front. Good in the transitions though. And some nice steps here in the walk. Better there. At the beginning he was just holding and not really taking that stretch over the back and down into a relaxed contact. Better there towards the end. And with that relaxation would just come with a bit more ground cover. There's definitely potential for some higher marks there in the extended walk. Nicely there into the passage. And again there in the piaffe, just losing a bit of fluency. I think the horse was getting a bit distracted by what was going around the outside of the arena, and you could just see the hind legs coming higher than the forelegs, the same as in the first piaffe. One thing though that's really, really good about this partnership is such a beautiful frame is maintained through the whole test. The pole is always at the highest point. Nicely on the aids through the 2-time changes. Not as relaxed as I've seen this horse in the past. But again, when they've been competing in the big outdoor stadiums all summer, the first time they come indoors, it can just feel a little bit more claustrophobic because the crowd is so much closer. You can feel the atmosphere so much more in an indoor school. And I think it just takes a little bit of time for the horses to get used to that again when they've been in those big outdoor stadiums. Good through the half passes down the centre line. Just at times through there, I feel like she could have taken a bit more of a half halt. Yeah, and again, with those one-time changes, a mistake, unfortunately, not quite through in front, but it was very, very short, and you really want to see the riders using that whole diagonal line, riding really nice and forward into those one-time changes, and that's where those 8s, 9s and potentially even 10s will come in. Good in the second half of that canter pirouette, and yeah, much better there in the pirouette to the right. Was a little bit large in the start of the pirouette to the left. Could have done with a bit more bend in the pirouette to the right. But again then, nicely back into the trot, into that nice uphill open frame. Super there in the passage, really nice and active. Now she needs to try and keep that lift into this final piaffe. You see a bit of crossing behind Yeah, again, the same there as we've seen earlier on in the Piafs. You could see there a great angle from the centre line in the Piaf. You could see a bit of crossing behind as well. So the judges down the short side will be picking up on that and marking accordingly. But a super final halt from Pauline Basquin and Sartorius at Derima. Such a wonderful partnership. Beautiful harmony between these two. You can really see them working together. Some really nice transitions from them today. Nice work in the extended trots. Really super in some of the passage. I just love how they keep that lovely, nice uphill open frame. The pole's always at the highest point. They just look like they work so, so well together. Just at times today, the horse looking a little bit distracted, but scores are in and they range from 71.63% up to 74.022. A total of 73% and into second for Pauline Basquin and Sartorius Derima ZIFCE. Looking forward to seeing that combination come again tomorrow in the freestyle. But the last to go now before the break, it is Bianca Nowag-Aulenbrock and Florine OLD for Germany. An 11-year-old Oldenburg mare by Foundation. Still a relatively new partnership at International Grand Prix after making their debut in March last year. Last time out, they competed in Hagen in September and finished at the top of the podium with a personal best of 74.804 in the Grand Prix and 75.66 in the Special. They have only ever done one freestyle together, which was a Neumünster World Cup in February, where they finished a very respectable 7th with their third ever international together with 77.225. And consistently score over 70%. It is Bianca Nowag-Aulenbrock and Florine OLD for Germany. Such a striking mare. Pretty nice in the extended trot. Could just have had a bit more cadence through that diagonal line. Just looked a little bit hurried. Beautiful crossing. Lovely reach. Nice through the bend there as well in the half pass. 8s and 8.5. Just needs a bit more bend here in the half pass to the left. Not quite as through the body to the left as she was to the right. It's a shame they didn't quite square up there in the halt at sea. But nice immobility. Those halts can be so expensive. You know, she got the 7s and a 6.5 for that halt, but it was a really nice rein back, and if that halt had been square, she could have picked up 8s. Very, very expensive not getting those square halts. You know, fairly quick in the Piaf, needed a bit more lift behind. Some nice steps in the walk. Again, could just be a bit more over the back and take that stretch down and out, not looking completely relaxed and over the back there in the extended walk. You can see there already Bianca thinking about that transition up into passage. Some nice lift here in the passage. Again, there just needs to be quicker behind in the piaffe. Oh, and lost the rhythm out. Just went to do one step of canter. Good up into the canter. Nice fluency on the line of 2-time changes. Was a little bit swinging, so the judges would like to see that diagonal, both diagonals of tempi changes really nice and straight, but the changes themselves were nice and big. Took a good risk in the extended canter. Pretty nice balance through those canter half passes. Nicely ridden. Again, nice big changes through these 1-times. Good fluency. And really using that whole diagonal line. You want to see the changes positioned right in the middle of the diagonal line. And it's quite difficult when the changes are short because the diagonal can finish quite soon, but actually Bianca really using the whole diagonal, and she has such lovely big changes from this mare. Good in the canter pirouettes. Was a little bit large in the canter pirouette to the left, but much more centered in the pirouette to the right. Great ability to really sit in those pirouettes. Lovely there in the frame, in the extended trot. Now coming down into the final center line. So she really needs to think about quickening this trot, this passage, so as she comes into the piaffe. Yeah, again, you can see just a lot more lift in front than this horse gets behind, and therefore it's not quite in diagonal pairs. But a super job from Bianca Nowag-Aulenbrock and Florine Old for Germany. Our first combination from Germany. This mare, 11 years old. What a super mare she is. Some really nice work in the test. Really nice balance, especially through the canter work. She has a great ability to sit in those canter pirouettes. Really nice in the flying changes. Big expressive changes. Just in the piaffe today, where she didn't quite maintain that activity behind that she gets in the passage. And I think as she gets stronger and she's able to get that lift in the piaffe, she's got it in front, but it doesn't quite relate behind. And if she can get that, you know, she's still scoring 6.5s and 7s in the piaffe, but there's definitely more marks to be had there. The scores are in, and it is 72.45 into third place. Scores ranging from 71.196 up to 73.587. So that was the final rider before the break. So here you can see the current standings. It is Nanna, Skodborg, Merrald and Blue Horse St. Chauffeur for Denmark in the lead, 74.044. Pauline Basquin and Sophie Serre, and they are sitting in second with third. And Bianca Nowag-Aulenbrock, she comes into third place for Germany with 72.435. So we have a short 10-minute break now. Join us back at 9:52 for our next combination into the arena, and it is one for Luxembourg. What? Welcome back to the second half of this Western European League Lyon Grand Prix, and this is the start list for the second half of this test. We have Nicolas Wagner Ehlinger for Luxembourg into the arena first up, and we have other combinations such as Emmelie Scholtens and Indian Rock, Frederic Wandres, Morgan Barbançon, Patrik Kittel and Thamar Zweistra. But at the moment, out in the lead is Nanna, Skodborg, Merrald and Blue Horse Saint Chufro. The first combination into the arena after the break is coming in at 9:52. Eight combinations left to come forward in this Grand Prix. The judges are just taking their positions back in their spots. Such a fabulous arena here in Lyon. The crowd really building. And we are very much looking forward to the freestyle tomorrow.
FEI Dressage World Cup returns for a new season. As the world's best
9 combinations from this Western European League will be going forward to the finals in Saudi Arabia in April.
to secure a place at the finals in April 2024. This is equestrian sport at its most elegant.
Don't forget, you can take part today and judge along with our judges, our expert panel, by downloading the Spectator Judging app. But now you can see our next combination coming into the arena. It is our sole representative from Luxembourg, Nicolas Wagner Ehlinger, and he is riding quarterback junior FRH. This is a combination that have been very established at this level. They competed at the European Championships this year, the European Championships also in 2021, and the European Championships in Rotterdam in 2019. The World Championships also last year in Herning, and the Olympic Games in Tokyo. This year, however, they were 21st in the Grand Prix at the European Championships with 72.438%. They finished 27th in the special with 70.441. Last time out, though, was at the Budapest CDI World Cup. In the Grand Prix, they finished 5th with 69.196 and jumped up to 3rd in the freestyle with 75.825%. So in the arena now for Luxembourg, it is Nicolas Wagner Ehlinger and quarterback junior FRH. Plenty of cadence there in the trot. So much expression from this horse. The extended trot there could have had a bit more engagement from the hind leg, not quite tracking up. But beautiful here into the half pass. Lovely crossing. Really nice bend through the body. Nice and supple through the change of bend. You can really see that reach. Good steps in the rein back. Nice and open there in the frame in the extended trot. Nice transition into the piaffe. Could maybe just have sat a little bit more in the piaffe for it to be a bit more centered and on the spot, but some super steps and nice and equal in front to behind. Really good rhythm through the trot. Nice in the stretch in the extended walk, and again nice and forward. Better there to the second half of the extended walk. At the beginning could have just been a little more relaxed. Good here though in the collected walk. Super lift in the passage, really keeping the rhythm nicely, and a nice transition into the piaffe. Really well ridden there. Yeah, nicely done. Really fluent through the transitions. Improved on that first piaffe. And that's what you want as a rider. I think you want to be, as the test continues and goes on, you want to be making those little improvements. And that's really what Nicolas saw there from the first piaffe to the second. A bit of swinging in these two-time changes. Like to see much more straightness. Had a little mistake as well at the beginning. Some super strides in the extended canter. For me, I'd like to see that a little more uphill as well. It just got slightly longer. Want to really keep that connection from the hind leg. And you can see there that resulting in losing the straightness there in the half pass zigzags. Really want to keep that connection from the hind leg into the contact. Really nice and forward there in the one-time changes. They're coming into the canter pirouette now. Really taking that half halt as he comes into it. Better in the second half, losing a bit of the bend. Was slightly big at the beginning, and then he really managed to take that half halt halfway through and get that pirouette more centered. Much better there in the pirouette to the right. The first one was just a little climbing as he had to take a more severe half halt. That second one was much better prepared, and therefore he got the bend through the body and could make it much more centered. So coming down now in the final piaffe passage. Really nice and straight. Lovely lift in this passage. Okay, that was definitely commentator's curse. Lost a bit of the straightness coming into the Piaffe. Lost a bit of the forward tendency there in that final Piaffe. You could see a few of the steps where he was just drawing back a little. A super final halt from Nicolas Wagner, Ehlinger and quarterback junior FRH. A really, really nice job from this pair. Kept a very consistent frame, and you can see what a great partnership these two have. Competed in so many championships together, and he knows this horse so well. Some really, really nice work. That second Piaffe was really, really spot on. Loved the canter pirouette to the right. Really lovely control. Nice and centered. Good in the rhythm in the Piaffe, the passage. Super in those trot half passes at the beginning as well, picking up lots of eights. Lost a bit of the relaxation in the extended walk. And of course, had that mistake at the beginning of the two-time changes, which was a real shame. But a score of 72.087, that puts them into fourth place. Scores very consistent, ranging from 71.087 up to 73.261. So now we move on to another combination from France. It is Alexandre Ayache. He's riding Jolene, an 11-year-old Danish warm-blood mare by Johnson. They only started at International Grand Prix last year. They've had a very successful career so far. Recently, they competed at the European Championships, finished 25th in the Grand Prix with 71.584%, and therefore qualified through to the special where they finished 26th with 70.866. It is Alexandre Ayache, and he is riding Jolene. He's got his game face on. The French team really took a relatively young, horse-wise team out to the Europeans, really to give them experience, and it's certainly paid off, especially for this combination and the combination we saw earlier with Arnaud Serre. Some good steps in the extended trot, tracking up well. Could just be a bit more over the back there into a more consistent contact in the half pass, showing some nice steps and some good reach. Super hold. Again, tracking up nicely there. Just would like to see a bit more self-carriage. It just looked like she was really leaning on the bit in the extended trot. Yeah, well ridden there from Alexandre. The mare just started to creep a little bit forward in the Piaffe. It was in two parts, and he definitely did that on purpose. The first half was a little bit too forward. Some good steps here in the walk. Most of the horses just getting a bit distracted halfway through that extended walk and just taking a little look to see what's going around them, especially to the left. but really nice and active in the walk. Nice transition up into the passage. Needs to make sure that he can keep the rhythm there. Yeah, some nice steps in the piaffe. Much more consistent this time. Could just have sat behind a little more for the bigger marks, but much better than the first one. And that's why you have to make those corrections in the test. It's so important, especially for these younger horses. I think sometimes you can come into a test and be a little bit worried to make those mistakes in front of the judges and correct them, but actually it's so important that you do, because you know that correction that he made in that first piaffe paid off, because he got higher marks and a better quality piaffe in the second one. Some good changes in the 2 times. Was slightly short behind at the beginning. Just needed to be a little more through, but again showing great quality. And I think once again this mare gets a bit stronger, she will be able to carry herself more in those changes. Fairly nice through the half passes. Lost a bit of the fluency sometimes in sideways. Oh, some mistakes there, unfortunately, in the ones. You can just see that she's coming a little bit short and getting a little bit tight over the back through those one-time changes. And that obviously resulted in that mistake halfway through. Again, as she gets stronger, she'll be able to ride those one-time changes more forward. Yeah, nice through the canter pirouette. Very well centered. Losing a little bit of the jump that she has so beautifully in the canter. But really showing a great ability to sit in those canter pirouettes. Again there in the extended trot, you'd like to see a bit more self-carriage, and again that comes from the hind leg, and the hind leg just a little out in those extended trots. If he can just engage that a little more, that will really help the contact as well. But did show a clear length in strides. And again, an improvement in the piaffe. A bit of swinging, but again, that comes from strength. Showing real promise. And there we have it for Alexandre Ayache and Jolene for France. This mare, 11 years old. Some really nice work and showing great potential for the future. It was nice to see the improvement in the piaffe as the test went on. You know, that first one, as I said, was ridden slightly in 2 halves. Alexandre doing a great job of really making that correction. Unfortunately, the mistake in the one times did, of course, pull them down. It really is all to play for amongst the French riders. He seems quite disappointed by that today, shaking his head there. Hopefully he can come back stronger and really show off this mare's potential. 69.848 for 5th place today. Scores are ranging from 69.022 up to 70.435. Very consistent from the judges. Some nice work in the counter pirouettes. I know he looked disappointed, but actually there's lots to like from that test. And I'm sure once he watches it back, he'll know exactly what he needs to work on tomorrow to come forward for the freestyle. Next up, we have a rider for Belgium. It is Larissa Pauluis. And she's riding Flambeau, a 13-year-old KWPN gelding by Ampere. Very experienced rider. Competed at the Tokyo Olympics and at the recent Europeans with this horse. Finished 18th in the Grand Prix with 70.106, 20th in the Special with 72.766, and 16th in the Freestyle with 78%. She also competed at the World Championships and the Europeans in 2021 with her other horse, First Step Valentin, finishing 43rd. In July, they had a win together in the Deauville CDI 3-star. They scored their personal best of 79.64% in the freestyle and now consistently score in the high 70% in the freestyle test. So into the arena now. For Belgium, it is Larissa Pauluis and Flambeau. Lots of expression here in the extended trot, tracking up nicely. Lovely activity in this trot, really nice lift. A bit of a head tilt creeping in the half pass there to the right. Nice crossing and good reach through the half pass. Just not entirely steady to the contact. Good there in the halt. A little hurried in the rein back, unfortunately, but started off beautifully with a very nice straight square halt. Again, good steps there in the extended trot. Picking up 7.5s and 8s. Lovely lift here in the passage. That transitions well into the Piaffe. You want to see the forelimb stay perpendicular in the Piaffe, and it just came slightly behind. Some good ground cover here in the walk, a nice over track. Good relaxation in the walk generally. And again, lovely lift here in the passage. Just needs to keep that Piaffe nice and forward. Yeah, started the piaffe well and then just got a little bit small at the base again at the end of the piaffe. Lovely up into the canter. Really nice jump. Lovely and active throughout the whole test. Nice big expressive changes, and again really riding nicely forward on that diagonal line. Good clear steps in the extended canter. I'd like to have seen that maintained all the way through to K. Nice balance through the canter zigzag. Yeah, well ridden. She maintained the nice uphill tendency. Kept the fluency. Oh dear, oh that's such a shame. Just a bit of a miscommunication there. The first two really nice, and she kept the forward momentum and then just popped in a little mistake. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen a bit more bend through the body in the canter pirouette. I think she could have just taken a bit more of a half halt coming into the canter pirouette to really balance him on the hind leg. They're just losing a bit of the jump, and because it was so small, she just didn't have that lift and that jump in the canter that she needed to get all the way around the canter pirouette. Again, lovely energy here in the passage. Really super lift there, you can see that so well. So needs to maintain that through into this piaffe. Slightly advancing. Yeah, it was a little bit forward, but some really good active steps. Beautifully ridden in that final section of passage. A really good job from Larissa Pauluis and Flambeau for Belgium. Such a shame about that mistake in the one-time changes. And I just feel like she dropped a few marks in those canter pirouettes. She just could have set them up better, I feel. Like she went into it, for me, a little bit too forward and just needed to take that half halt, get that weight on the hind leg before she brought him round. And she did half halt, but it was literally as she was going into it. And I just feel like if she'd have prepared a couple of steps before and just brought him back a little more onto the hind leg, it would have activated that hind leg so he could come up and around the canter pirouettes. Some really nice steps in the passage today, and look at those huge changes in the twos. A score of 72.087 and into fourth place. Very consistent marks ranging from 70.109 up to 73.478. Next up, we have our first combination for the Netherlands. It is Emmelie Scholtens, and she is riding Indian Rock. It's a 10-year-old stallion, KWPM by Apache. Another combination from the European Championships this year and last year's World Championships. At the Europeans, they finished 13th in the Grand Prix with 74.457 and 9th in the Special with 75.957. Made it through to the freestyle where they scored 80.936 for 12th place. At the World Championships, she made it through to the freestyle final as well and finished 15th with 74.589, only 6 months after giving birth to her daughter. They had 2 podium finishes at Rotterdam CDIO 4-Star Nations Cup earlier this year, finishing 3rd in the Grand Prix with 72.478 and winning the Special with 75.575. Had a bit of an injury this year, so took a bit of time out and is now back. A regular face on the World Cup circuit. So coming down the centre line now, it is Emmelie Scholtens and Indian Rock for the Netherlands. Such a powerful, expressive horse. Fairly nice in the extended trot. Could have just done with a little bit more from behind for the bigger marks. This is one of their strengths. Enormous reach in that trot half pass. Really scooping up the ground. Losing a bit of the parallel positioning at the beginning of the half pass to the left, but really regained that nicely for the second half. And a beautiful square halt at sea. Nice to see her taking the time through the halt and rein back. And that's definitely been rewarded by the judges. Again, they're the same as in the first extended trot. Just could do with a little bit more pushing power from the hind leg. Nice and uphill through the passage. Some slightly irregular steps. A bit of a double beat. So much expression in the passage. You just need to be careful of the rhythm. Nice and relaxed here in the walk. Good ground cover. Lost a bit of the throughness on the collection back up to the collective walk. Needs to make sure that she keeps that connection. She had very loose curb rein on that short side. Needs to keep that contact. Yeah, well ridden by Emmelie there. Had a bit of tension in the piaffe. And she started riding it quite on the spot, and then the tension creeped in and she thought, no, I'm going to ride this a little more forward. And that's really where this rider's experience shines through. It's really about riding the horse that you've got in that moment. Some swinging in the 2-time changes. This horse just has so much expression, such big changes. Unfortunately, a mistake at the beginning. Interesting, some judges picking up on that, some not. Very nice control through these canter half passes. For me, for the higher mark, I'd like to see more bend. So into the ones. Again, very big, expressive changes. Well positioned on the diagonal line. Yeah, beautiful preparation into the canter pirouette. Unfortunately, a mistake in the flying change at X. Not quite through. She does such a great job of preparing for those canter pirouettes. Unfortunately, it was slightly together behind at the end. But she rides them so small and so neat. I think she could have just ridden them maybe a little bigger to keep that tendency of going forward and keep the jump through the canter pirouettes. Again, lovely expression through the passage, keeping that well into the piaffe. Yeah, very well ridden by Emmelie. Much more on the spot than the other two piaffes. Really great to have seen that improve as the test has gone on. Picking up some eights. Super job from Emmelie Scholtens and Indian Rock there for the Netherlands. Really super in that final piaffe. Much more on the spot, and you can see this horse's confidence growing as the test went on, and Emmelie just making those small corrections throughout the test. For me, I think I would have just ridden those canter pirouettes a little bigger. They were so beautifully centered, but she lost a bit of the jump, and at the end it was slightly together behind, which was a real shame. If she'd have just made them maybe even a little bigger, half a meter bigger, she would have just got that. And yes, she would have lost marks for it being maybe a little too large. But I think it's really, really important, especially for these younger horses, that you give them the confidence, and you can always make them smaller as they get better balance. Really nice in the passage work today. Just a couple of mistakes in some of the changes. Some of the judges picking up on them, some of them not. So the mistake in between the two canter pirouettes, and there was also a mistake in the first line of two-time changes, but scores of 73.309, ranging from 72.065 up to 74.674. So into second place for Emmelie Scholtens and Indian Rock. Now, though, we are back to Germany. It is the turn of Frederic Wandres and Bluetooth OLD, 13-year-old Oldenburg guarding by Bordeaux. A combination that was in the top 10 on all 3 days at the recent European Championships. They finished 6th in the Grand Prix with 77.888, 7th in the Special with 77.052, and 9th in the Freestyle with 84.568%. Had a win in Hagen CDI 4-star in April with 76.065 in the Grand Prix. It is Frederic Wandres and Bluetooth OLD for Germany. Some good steps in the extended trot. Tracking up. Nice through the frame there in the trot half passes. And again, great reach. Could maybe just have a little more bend in the half pass to the left. Super halt. Could have just maintained that for a little longer. Lovely rhythm through the passage and good fluency into the piaffe. Slightly travelling there. Would like to see the piaffe much more on the spot, but really good in the rhythm. Good relaxation here in the walk. Just needs to take that nose forward. A good stretch, but just creeping slightly behind the vertical, but really nice in the walk steps. Lovely there in the frame, in the collected walk. So interesting seeing that piaffe from two different angles, seeing it from straight on. It looked quite wide behind, and the judge at E and B may be picking up on that. But from the side angle, it looked really nice. It looked much more on the spot than the first one. Good clean two-time tempi changes. Again, plenty of eights coming through for this combination. Nice and uphill through the extended canter. Good balance. Yeah, really nice control through those canter half passes on the centre line. Picking up 4 8s and a 7.5. Really nice placement on the diagonal line of those one-time changes. Great preparation to the canter pirouette. Or a little large at the beginning. Yeah, that pirouette a little on the large side. Losing a bit of the straightness going into that second canter pirouette. Yeah, losing the jump as well. Got quite wide behind at the end of the canter pirouette there. So coming down the centre line now for the final piaffe passage. Great lift here in the piaffe, really nice and straight. Sorry, in the passage. Coming into the piaffe now. Again, there'll be interesting to see the breakdown from the judges because was a little wide behind. Yeah, the judges marking it down that were on the short side, but big marks from the judges at E and B. So interesting, and that's why we need those 5 judges around the arena picking up on all of those different things. A fabulous job from Frederic Wandres and Bluetooth OLD. Some really nice work in the test, picking up plenty of 8s throughout. As I said, very interesting to see that piaffe from different angles. If you see it from head on, it is a little wide behind, but if you see it from the side profile, it looks really lovely and active. The first one was traveling slightly, but that final one nicely on the spot, lovely lift, nice and equal in front as to behind. A really nice mistake-free test. Canter pirouette's a little on the large side, and again in that second one got a little wide behind at the end. I think he'll be wanting to neaten those up a little bit for tomorrow for the Grand Prix freestyle. But some really super work, really nice in the canter and trot half passes. A score of 77.043 and into the lead for Frederic. Scores ranging from 76.304 up to 78.478%. And there you can see that super piaffe at the end. And there you can see the angle from in front where the horse just steps a little wide. So next into the arena, just 3 more to go. It is the turn of the final French rider. It is Morgan Barbançon, and she is riding Habana Libre A. Morgan has already achieved so much for her young age, having been to London 2012 and Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, World Championships and many Europeans. This year, this pair have had huge success together. The last time out being the European Championships, where they finished in the top 20 each day. 19th in the Grand Prix was 72.997, 16th in the Special was 74.21, and 14th in the Freestyle was 79.521. They also had a fantastic double win in June. That was at the Rotterdam CDIO 4-Star Nations Cup with 72.696 in the Grand Prix and 79.82 in the Freestyle. So it is for France, Morgan Barbançon and Habana Libre A, an 11-year-old gelding by ZZ Top. Some fairly nice steps in the extended trot. Was slightly slow to develop at the beginning. Plenty of cadence in the trot. For me, I'd just like to see these trot half passes a little more supple through the body. Lovely lift. And great crossing there, though. Oh, unfortunately, just stepped back into a square halt. So great to see these horses compete through the year. You can really follow their progress, and I can see here that Morgan is definitely riding for a bit more power, a bit more cadence than she has done previously this year. And, you know, that's all about this rider's journey with this horse. And, of course, she's going to be looking to try and get a place on the team for the Olympics next year. And it's all about making those improvements, isn't it? And, you know, this time she's going for that bit more power, that bit more cadence. And sometimes when you make that transition and try and aim for a bit more power, you can sacrifice a bit of harmony and a bit of relaxation. And it's all about the process. You know, she's going to be looking to inject that today, inject that power, and then the harmony will come as the horse gets stronger and more confident with being able to cope with that. Good relaxation here in the walk. Again, great lift there in the passage. Slightly higher behind than in front in the Piaffe there. I just needs to sit a little more for the bigger marks. Still 6s, 7s. Nice jump in the canter as she comes into these 2-time changes. Nicely on the aids there. Could have had a bit more ground cover for the bigger marks, picking up 7.5s and 7s. Lovely and uphill there through the extended canter. Taking a good risk. Nice balance through these canter zigzags. Plenty of sideways steps. Just at times through the lateral. Oh, a mistake there at the beginning of the ones. And a little croup high. And see, she finished those 1-time changes very, very early. You'd want to see them much better placed on the diagonal line. There's 15 changes, so you'd want the middle one to be over X. Good preparation into the canter pirouette. Losing a bit of the jump through the canter pirouette. Just generally in this canter work, I'd like to see more suppleness through the body. You can see there in the canter pirouettes and in the canter half passes on the centre line, she just needed a little bit more bend around her inside leg. Great activity here in the passage. Really beautifully straight on the centre line. She asks for the Piaffe. Yeah, needs a bit more balance there in the piaffe, but some nice steps. Oh, and the horse just going into halt a little early. Well corrected by Morgan. And a big smile on Morgan's face. Big pats for Habana Libre A. And this combination from France. As I said, interesting to see Morgan just having a bit more power and asking Habana for a little bit more today. And, you know, for these riders, their end goal is the next championships. So, you know, she would have been building all year for the European Championships. And now the European Championships are over and they're all aiming towards Paris next year. And so they're going to be looking at picking up some more marks. And this combination have had great harmony all through the year. And today I just felt like, because she was asking for a few more gears, she was asking for a little bit more power, that harmony and the fluency wasn't quite there as much as it was earlier on in the year. But a score of 72.456% into fifth place, scores from 70.978 up to 73.152. As I was saying, you know, that harmony and the fluency wasn't quite there today, but it's something that they're going to be working on up until Paris. So hopefully they can get that power and that cadence that they've got today, along with the harmony and the fluency that they've had all year. Get those two combined, and then the scores are going to skyrocket. Next up, it is the combination for Sweden. It is Patrik Kittel, and he is riding Forever Young, HRH, an 11-year-old Westphalian mare. Patrik is here, hot off his win from the World Cup in Wilhelmsburg a couple of weeks ago. He was riding Touchdown there and will be looking to add to his 40 points he's already picked up. Last time out with Forever Young was in Hagen in September, where they finished second in the Grand Prix with 75.087 and took the win in the freestyle with 0.665. He actually has only ever scored below 80% in the freestyle once in May last year with this horse, where they scored 79.965. Patrik is, of course, a regular on the World Cup circuit and recently competed at the European Championships with his other ride, Touchdown. They were 10th in the Grand Prix, 13th in the special and 11th in the freestyle with up to 81.118. They also competed at the World Championships in Herning last year. But now it is Patrik Kittel and Forever Young, HRH. For Sweden. Really nice there in the frame in the extended trot. Not quite tracking up behind though, so would like to see a bit more pushing power from the hind leg. Lots of lift in this trot work. Super crossing in the half pass. Just needs to be careful not to get a little hurried there in the half pass to the left. Just lost the rhythm a little bit in the middle. Really lovely there in the frame, extending the stride length and the frame. Lovely activity here in the passage. Oh, a bit of resistance there. That's a shame. You could just see that she went into the Piaffe really, really nicely and then lost the forward momentum. It was almost slightly backward thinking in the Piaffe in the first couple of steps. And then that's where the resistance came when Patrik said, no, you've got to keep forward. And that's where she just said, oh, no, I'm not quite sure about that. And then he regained it really well. Very forward here in the walk, but not quite regular in the walk rhythm, unfortunately. Lovely transition up into the passage. Yeah, you can see there. So there was, again, one step where the mare just thought a little backwards and Patrik very, very quick to be able to correct it. But just came in a little bit deep in the contact, and if he could have kept the pole up coming into that transition, he would have had more chance of keeping the hind legs under and have that Piaffe thinking more forward. At the end of the day, apart from the hold, every movement, even the Piaffe that you want nicely on the spot, every single movement has to be forward thinking, and of course apart from the rein back. Expressive changes in the 2 times there. Some nice jump in the canter. Patrik always showing a very good risk factor in his extended canter. Today just was maybe a little bit too quick. Lovely there in the half passes. Especially there in the half pass to the right in the canter. For me, the right half pass and the left half pass weren't quite even today, and I feel like she needed a little bit more left bend to help her out with that. Very on the aids with the 1 times. Nice preparation, really good in the bend as he comes round in that canter pirouette. Yeah, very, very well ridden, nice control. Yeah, really nice control through the canter pirouettes. Just lost a little bit of the uphill tendency in the canter pirouette to the right. She just dropped the pole slightly. So coming down the final centre line now. Great lift here in the passage. Needs to keep that now coming into the Piaffe. He knows what to expect. So needs to really ride that Piaffe forward. Yeah, better. Still, you know, not getting the 8s that Patrik would like. But again, great to see that development through the test of the Piaffe. You know, the first one, they had that moment of resistance. And then Patrik really quick to pick up on that in the second. And even more so in the third. A really super job from Patrik Kittel and Forever Young HRH for Sweden. Our penultimate rider to go here in the Grand Prix in the World Cup in Lyon. This is our second leg, leg 1, Wilhelmsborg, a couple of weeks ago in Denmark. Patrik Kittel, the winner there on his other ride, touchdown. A real crowd favourite. And the master of freestyles. So can't wait to see that tomorrow. So we just wait for the score to come through as we watch his highlights. It is 73% into fourth place, scores ranging from 71.848 up to 74.565 for Patrik Kittel and Forever Young HRH. You could just see there the first step in the Piaffe where the mare was just thinking slightly backward, but really quick, clever riding from Patrik. And it just really shows this rider's wealth of experience. He's competed in so many Olympics, Europeans and World Championships. But now we move on to Thamar Zweistra and Hexagon's Ik Weiss, a 10-year-old stallion by Hexagon's Rubiquel, out of a Negro mare. This combination competed at the recent European Championships with very consistent scores. 72.562 in the Grand Prix for 20th and 72.432 for 22nd in the special. Thamar is a regular on the World Cup scene and competed this horse last year in the Lyon, Madrid and Skodborg, qualifying them for the finals in April in Omaha, where they finished 6th in the Grand Prix with 73.261 and 5th in the freestyle with 78.204. This year, she scored her personal best in the Grand Prix in Aachen of 73.435% and 80.215 in the freestyle from Falsterbro. It is Thamar Zweistra and Hexagon's Ik Weiss for the Netherlands. Such a striking horse. Tracking up well in the extended trot. Showing clear transitions into and out of the extended trot. Could just have lengthened the frame a little more there though. Some good reach. Just tilted in the half pass to the right. Better here in the half pass to the left. Much more consistent contact. And a lovely halt. 2 really super halts so far. Very good riding from Thamar. Unfortunately lost the diagonal pairs in the rein back, but she could tell that he was doing a dropping and just waited for him to finish. And I always think it's good to leave a little bit of time anyway in the halt before you ask for the rein back. Really think about how you prepare for the rein back and establish that halt. The rule is you have to halt for 3 seconds anyway. Really nicely active and on the spot in the Piaffe. And lovely here in the walk. Good ground cover, good relaxation. Keeping that activity through the walk. Picking up good scores for the extended walk. Nice through the collective walk again, and well on the aids in the transition up into the passage. Yeah, can maybe just sit a little more in the piaffe and have a bit more lift in front, but still nicely ridden from Thamar. Oh, not quite on the aids in that transition up into the canter. But for me, sometimes in the piaffe and the passage, this horse just holds himself in the neck a little bit. And, you know, he's only 10 years old. So again, as this horse gets stronger, he'll be able to relax more into that. Really good in the two-time changes. An enormous ground cover in the extended canter. Clear risk shown in that extended canter. Needs to keep the jump through this canter zigzag. You can see there again the horse just coming a little bit open and a little bit up from the base of the neck. Better here in the second half of the canter zigzag, but at the beginning you could just see him bracing himself, and that's just coming from the base of the neck. Oh, unfortunately just lost the canter there. Oh, that's a real shame. Well ridden by Thamar, getting that back in time to do these one-time changes. Very, very well done from Thamar. Of course, that break reflected in the score, but other than that, really nice in the one-time changes. Nicely centered through the canter pirouette. Got to keep that jump. Yeah, again, just losing a bit of that jump towards the end of the canter pirouette. Really well centered. This horse does such a great job for his very young age. He's already achieved so much at this level, despite him being 10 years old. And you know, it's just so exciting to see so many young horses here today already doing so well. And, you know, as they get stronger, they're just going to develop more. Yeah, some good steps there in the piaffe. Picking up 7.5s and 8s as she comes into her final halt. It is Thamar Zweistra and Hexagon's Ik Wijs for the Netherlands, our final rider of today in this Grand Prix. Big pats for Hexagon's Ik Wijs. As I said, shows enormous potential. Just at times, I feel like this horse holds himself. And as I said, that comes from him just not having as much strength as he maybe needs. But, you know, relatively to his age, he does incredibly well. And I think as he gets stronger, he'll be able to have more lift in the back and through the core, rather than having to brace through the neck a little bit in the piaffe and the passage. But he has such wonderful lift. A score of 71.848 into 10th place for Thamar. Very consistent scores ranging from 71.304 up to 73.043%. Really well centered through those canter pirouettes. So we just prepare now for the prize giving, but it is Frederic Wandres and Bluetooth OLD for Germany who take the win with 77.043%. Nanna, Skodborg, Merrald and Blue Horse Saint Chufro are in second for Denmark with 74.044. You can see Grete Ayache there in 16th place with Vertigo for Estonia. But it is Emmelie Scholtens and Indian Rock who take third place with 73.304. So Frederic, Nanna and Emmelie make up our podium. Patrik Kittel just missing out on a podium place with Forever Young HRH. He sits in fourth place with 73%. He sits alongside Pauline Basquin and Sotolis Derima ZIFC. She's also on 73 with a personal best in the Grand Prix. Morgan Barbançon in sixth place with 72.456%. So we just prepare now for our prize giving as we watch through some of the highlights from today. So make sure you stay tuned for the prize giving. This is leg 2 of the Western European League. Next up is Stuttgart. So make sure you join us on the 17th and 18th of November. Madrid is the 24th and 25th of November. Then we move on to London XL on the 13th and 14th of December. And Mechlin on the 28th and 29th of December. In the new year, we will head to Basel. That will be on the 12th and 13th of January. Amsterdam is the 26th and 27th of Jan. Then back to Germany for Neumünster on the 17th and 18th of February. On to Sweden, Gothenburg, the 23rd and 24th of February. And finally, Sertogenbosch on the 7th and 9th of March. As I said, the finals will be in Saudi Arabia. That is in April next year. 9 horse and rider combinations from this Western European League will qualify for the finals. So it is all to play for. And this, of course, just the second leg. Patrik Kittel out in front at the moment with 40 points after his win a few weeks ago, in Wilhelmsborg. So we will welcome the top 8 in for our prize giving. The top 10 today, finishing with scores over 70%. You see the arena, a very quick turnaround for our prize giving. So big thanks to the arena team for being so prompt. Make sure you join us tomorrow as well for the Grand Prix freestyle. You can catch all the action on FEI TV. So as well as the dressage, we have World Cup driving and World Cup show jumping here in this fantastic arena in Lyon. But now we welcome our top 8 for this Grand Prix dressage. It is in 8th place equally. It is Larissa Pauluis and Nicolas Wagner Ehlinger. Larissa rides Flambeau with a score of 72.087. And in equal 8th, it is Nicolas Wagner Ehlinger and quarterback junior FRH. You can see him just behind. They sit on equal scores, so equal 8th place for Larissa and Nicolas today in this Grand Prix. We'll look forward to seeing both of these combinations in the freestyle tomorrow. You can see the 8th place Rosette sitting pretty on Flambeau. There's Nicolas, Ehlinger. And then in 7th place, it is Bianca Nowag-Aulenbrock and Florine OLD. You can see the chestnut mare there. 72.435% into 7th place for Bianca. Morgan Barbançon was in 6th place. She scored 72.456 on Habana Libre A. Then in equal 4th place, it was Pauline Basquin and Sartorius Derima ZIFCE and Patrik Kittel and Forever Young HRH, both scoring 73% and taking equal 4th place. There you can see Pauline Basquin. And there is Patrik Kittel and his lovely mare, Forever Young HRH. So big congratulations to our combinations that sit 4th to 8th as we now wait for our top 3 to come forward. So here come our top 3. You can see there them being led in by our winner, Frederic Wandres and Bluetooth OLD, wearing the sash and the rug. Huge congratulations to that pair. And a big thanks to Longines for their continued support. So Frederic will be looking to take another win tomorrow to pick up those 20 points for the Western European League standings. He spent a bit of time in Florida over the winter. So huge congratulations. Our winner, Frederic Wandres and Bluetooth OLD, 77.043% for this pair. A really super test. Can they do it again tomorrow? So we now stand for the national anthem of Germany. Huge congratulations to our winners, Frederic Wandres and Bluetooth OLD. Had a fantastic year, coming in the top 10 at the European Championships. A big thank you has to also go to our sponsors, Auvergne Alps. It is Mr. Jax Navarro and Mr. Gerard Mondelago representing and giving out the prizes today from our sponsors, Auvergne Alps. Also, our FEI representative and judge at sea, Miss Mariette Sanders van Ganswinkel. There you can see Merrald coming forward and congratulating Frederic as the sponsors come in for their pictures. No, big congratulations to Frederic. Bluetooth not wanting to pose for his picture today. It's quite a big atmosphere for these prize givings. Horses can get quite excited. And in second place it is Nanna, Skodborg, Merrald and Blue Horse Saint Chufro. 74.044%. She was second as well in Wilhelmsborg a couple of weeks ago with a Blue Horse Zach, who she rode for the final time before they go for retirement. But she has such a fantastic string of horses, including this lovely stallion, Blue Horse Saint Chufro. Already had great success with this young horse, and of course picked up the silver medal on her other horse, Blue Horse Zepter. So big congratulations to Nanna, Skodborg, Merrald and Blue Horse Saint Chufro. And then in third place, it is Emmelie Scholtens and Indian Rock for the Netherlands. They scored 73.304%. All of the horses gearing up for their lap of honour. All three of these horses relatively young. Indian Rock, a 10-year-old stallion, Bluetooth, 13-year-old gelding, so slightly more experienced from Bluetooth, and Blue Horse Saint Chufro, 12 years old, so really all either in their prime or coming into their prime. Big thanks also has to go to the grooms and everybody behind the scenes that make it possible for our riders to get here and perform to this level. But of course, congratulations to our winner of leg one here in the Grand Prix in Lyon. It is Frederic Wandres and Bluetooth OLD for Germany with a score of 77.043%. Can he do it again tomorrow in the freestyle? You have to tune in to watch here on FEI TV. In second place, it was Nanna, Skodborg, Merrald and Blue Horse Saint Chufro. She scored 74.044, and Emmelie Scholtens and Indian Rock in third with 73.304. But all eyes on this man now. It is Frederic Wandres and Bluetooth OLD, our winner of this Grand Prix here in Lyon. Make sure you join us tomorrow. There is Nanna, Skodborg, Merrald, our rider in second place with Blue Horse Saint Chufro. And of course, Emmelie Scholtens and Indian Rock for the Netherlands in third place with 73.304. Very, very close scores between the top 8 up to second. So really all to play for tomorrow in the Grand Prix freestyle as Frederic takes his final lap of honour. Can he do it again tomorrow in the freestyle? Tune into FEI TV for all of the action, for all of this Western European League series. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for the freestyle. Congratulations to all of our riders today. And best of luck to them all for the freestyle tomorrow. But that's it from me, Natasha Baker. I hope you've enjoyed our coverage today. Join me back tomorrow for more action.